I think I'm going to call this one, before I even start, Shades of Grey. Because I've been thinking a lot about this whole concept of dualism, the dualistic nature of what we're experiencing. And we have all this symbolism that alludes to this, that has been with us for a very long time. The yin and the yang, the plus and the minus, positive, all that stuff. And most of us, even if it's at a surface level, have a sense of what they mean or what's meant when we hear about the dualistic nature of humans, the dualistic nature of the world, etc., etc. And in many ways, we're kind of told or conditioned that this is a law, dualism. Light, dark, black, white. It's got to be one or the other. Left-hand path, right-hand path. Good, evil. Love, fear. Love, hate, or whatever, these opposites and stuff. And obviously the Hermetic principles teach us that there are many degrees in between. But I wonder if we've been simply conditioned into this system of belief. Because here's the question that spawned me wanting to even do this monologue. Who says the light and the dark couldn't exist together simultaneously in the same space? It seems pretty self-evident that you can't get rid of the darkness any more than you can get rid of the light. You can have more darkness than light, so it'll overshadow the light and make it dimmer or seem dimmer because there's more darkness. Or you can have more light that will, take over the darkness and make it go away. But without one, you can't have the other. So this we see on this thing here, we've got this dualistic, light, dark. But I don't think any of us really think much about what about just combining the two together? Maybe that would be something like a singularity, I don't know. But it's like, if you take black, which is black, obviously a color, and you take white, and we could use the same analogy of darkness and light, and you put them together in the color analogy, what do you get when you put black and white together? Gray. And there are varying shades of gray in the middle. So we've been conditioned into this duality, programmed for it. But it seems like we've been polarized because we fail to realize the oneness, I guess, of combining the two. And the fact that the light and the dark are both on the same gauge, I guess. They're all connected. It's all one thing. But because of this dualistic thing that we have, whether it's a program running in the mind, a program running in the matrix, it may be in absolute defiance of it seems like it's in defiance of the true nature of what's there, what we're experiencing and what's there. What's there appears to be oneness, but we've been trained to perceive this duality. And then begin to ask what's at the root of our being trained to see this duality and to be conditioned into this dualistic, polarized state of being that our species has been in. What if it all just existed together simultaneously in the same space, in the same place? I don't know. Seems like an interesting thing to contemplate to me, because in that contemplation, I've been coming to the conclusion that some of this dualistic shit has been maybe deep program or a conditioning that may just be messing with our perception of the true reality. And it wasn't until I've heard lots of people talk about the oneness, and I've never felt it. I've never felt that oneness. All my entheogenic journeys and going out and experiencing the grand things that I've experienced, I've never had that. I've never had the perception to truly understand what oneness is, what it means, what it stands for, what it represents. You kind of get a surface level, in theory, perspective if you think about it at all. But when I started thinking of it in the perspective of a color, and taking black and white and combining them in equal amounts in the same space at the same time, you get gray. And to the degree that you go to the white, you get lighter shades of gray until you get to white. And you get to the dark side, you get darker shades of gray until it's totally black. It all lives together, all together. It's all one thing. It's all varying degrees of the same thing. When I look at it that way, and take and apply that analogy, or that equation, to our construct, it's interesting to look at it this way. It's interesting to be able to see it in this way, because it begins to, at least for me, broaden my awareness and my perspective of what this dualism is, and how it's so dramatically separating us, and what actually oneness is, and being able to see that very well may be at the heart of all of this. And maybe just in that awareness, it'll start to begin to bring more awareness of that oneness into my mind and anybody's mind that happens to listen to me say this in this way, that possibly hasn't gotten that concept themselves. For me, it's like a light bulb going off. My mind never stops, because for me, the inward journey has been firewalled off, and I don't have the knowledge to break through the firewall, and I find more frustration in trying. So I train that efforts of seeking and learning and comprehending by way of the outward journey. It's in contradiction of what I've said before, because I know all the answers are within, but we can still, you're going to do what you can with what you've got. And for me, what I've got is being able to look outside and see what the hell's what's what, and the ability to contemplate and process. I can see the macro pretty good when I turn that ability to see the various pieces of the puzzle of the macro, and I want to do that to myself in my own personal evolution, to analyze myself. Sometimes it's much more challenging, because the assessment of self, the inward journey, is blocked off on me in a lot of ways. So I spend my efforts and my time using what it is that I've got to figure out this outside shit. Maybe in doing this, it'll help me develop a perspective or something that'll help me to punch through. But to be honest with you, I don't even try anymore. I don't even try meditating, because I just don't get anywhere. I just literally don't even, what I say is, waste the time. So when I spend my time in outward contemplation and reflection, or reflection and contemplation of the outward stuff, it's interesting. Anyway, mind dump. Take it easy.